Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How was your day today? I hope you're doing well. I hope that you're safe. It is thunderstorms here today, like really loud, nasty thunderstorms. And I just came home and I have my driveway slopes away from the house. Obviously, that's a normal thing. And a long time ago, well, not a long time ago, it's been like 2 years ago, I put in a retaining wall along the end of my driveway because we had all this runoff from my backyard slopes towards the driveway. And it would run off and then just, it was a mess. So I put this retaining wall in, and now the roof and the whole backyard kind of drains to the corner of my driveway. So the builders were still working on the house next to mine, so all the drains are still there. So they installed a yard drain, which is essentially, it looks a lot like a street drain, but it's about this big instead of being like a big grate. It's about this big, and it's just a plastic drain in the middle of a yard, essentially, and that keeps the whole. Anyway, the point is, it was plugged up, like leaves and stuff had covered it. So I had a lake, like a little pond in the corner of my driveway, and I had to go take care of that. I don't know why I told you that story, but that was a good story. No, it wasn't. That's the story. Anyway, I wanted to tell you a little bit about another project update. We talked yesterday about the game design, and no, I did not play the old game design last night. We ended up playing some other stuff, and that's okay. I do want to play it soon, but I'm not in any rush. It's just been kind of slowly working its way through my head. But I did want to talk to you about the bench. It's been a while since we talked about the bench, and that's because it's still here. It's still in progress. Let me show you. I don't know how I'm going to show you this, but the base, I have the base here. Oh God. The base is assembled. This is it. This is the whole base. I got it completely assembled and stained. This is oak. This is all oak. And all the joinery turned out really, really nice and crisp. I think you can see it on the screen here. The dowels that I used to fill in the screw holes turned out really beautiful with the stain on there. They're nice and dark. The only problem is this oak turned out really, really blotchy. And I'm not going to be able to show it to you on camera. I've tried to take some pictures of it, and it just looks like shadow. But essentially, that particular oak turned out kind of blotchy. And then, unfortunately, I have the wherewithal to do all the finishing before I assembled it. I knew it was going to be hard to do the finish sanding after it was put together. I wanted to maintain the crisp, clean edges, and so I did all the sanding before I assembled it. I should have done the staining before I assembled it, because what ended up happening is in all the corners where I had to kind of force the stain in and then try to wipe it out, it's dark in the corners, and like I said, it just looks like shadows if I took a picture. But it's actually just like streaks of stain that essentially the other mistake that I made was I stained the entire bench before going back and wiping off the stain, the first coat, and that was my major problem because it took probably 20 to 30 minutes to stain the whole bench, and then to come back, the stain where it was already dry. I really couldn't blend it like you normally can. Normally you just let stain sit for like 5 to 10 minutes so it's still wet, and then when you wipe it off, you're essentially kind of blending it so that it's not all blotchy or streaky. So unfortunately, I had these dark spots, and what I probably should have done was sand some after that first coat and then go back and do it, and I didn't do that. So it's just been kind of sitting this week because I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do about that. I could sand it down again and try again, or I could just leave it like that. Where it's going to live, once the top is on it, let me show you the top. The top is one solid piece with a nice beveled edge. Once the top, and the other thing is, this top has 3 coats of stain, that base has 3 coats of stain, and this top is significantly darker, which is I kind of like that. I'm okay with that. But where the top sits, it's going to basically mean that the majority of that base is in shadow, and this whole thing is going to live underneath of a counter. So the whole base is going to kind of be in shadow anyway. I don't think anybody's ever going to notice the streaks, except me. So the bench is kind of sitting. The other reason is, well, my dads have been in the hospital, obviously. And since this bench was kind of me and my dad's project, not having him here while I work on it has been kind of, I don't want to do it. Like, I want to wait for him, but I know I need to get it done. So I think I'm just going to leave the stain alone. I don't feel like sanding it all back down and trying again. I think I'm just going to let it go. The top turned out magnificent. I mean, there's no blotchiness. The whole piece is one nice, uniform, even color. And it's all oak, so, you know, the underside has some spots. Obviously, I went around the edges as I was staining the top, and then I stained the underside. I like to stain the entire project. A lot of people won't stain, say, the underside, because like nobody's ever going to look at that. I disagree. Somebody someday is going to look at that. And it looks weird if it's not finished. So I like to finish pretty much the entire thing. Now, I probably will fully assemble the bench before I finish it. So the finish coat won't go on everything. But, yeah. Oh, and for finish, I'm going to use Minwax Wipe On Poly. I've never used Wipe On Poly. I don't know anything about it. All I know is it goes on with a rag. It's really thinned out. You just kind of wipe it on, and that's it. So there's no brush marks. There shouldn't be a whole lot of runs and stuff because you basically control it with the rag and do really thin coats, and it's only going to take like 2 or 3 coats. Oak, if you're not aware, oak is really porous in the long grain direction. So as you sand it, you open up these long straws, essentially. Like it's almost like if you were to cut a straw in half, there's these long straws. And it gives oak a certain feel. Like normally when you feel wood, you can feel a bit of grain, but oak in particular has like a really good feel to it. And I don't want to hide that. I don't want to bury it in coat after coat after coat of super high gloss finish. I want it to still feel like wood. I don't want it to look and feel like plastic. So I'm gonna probably only use it like 3, maybe 4 coats of this. Hopefully that's enough, and I'll be done with it. The other thing is this is like, gotta have the door open when I do this, because if you've never used poly, it's just terrible to breathe. And so I'm gonna tackle that. I'll have to have the door open and the fan on and wear the respirator with charcoal filters to keep myself from dying. I bought a mask. I think maybe we'll do a talk about this someday, but I bought one of these RZ masks. Essentially, the advertising worked. I saw a whole bunch of YouTubers were given these by RZ, were sponsored by RZ. And essentially, this is like a glorified version of one of those paper masks. This is supposedly an activated carbon filter. And then it has this like mesh cover on it. And you wear it like one of those little masks. The problem is it doesn't seal. And the actual filter paper is so small that on my face it doesn't actually touch down here. And so when I'm breathing, all the air is just coming in down here. It's not actually going through the filter. So this is fairly useless for doing anything like this, even though it's supposed to be this activated carbon filter. It's basically useless for fine dust, which is what I wanted it for because of my allergies. It would be okay for like, table saw shavings, but the fine dust is just going around the filter. It's not really doing anything. So I'm kind of disappointed in that. So I'll have to wear like the full respirator to put this stuff on, but that's okay. And so, maybe my dad will get to come home soon, and, he can be here for the final assembly when I screw the top on and we load it in the car and take it down the road. I still have to do the feet on it, which are I'm going to drill those out, and I bought some little, like, furniture feet, these little felt pads to sit on there. So that needs done, and then it's done. Yeah, so little project update, little ramble. Sorry, I'm a little bit scatterbrained right now. Yeah, it's been crazy. this week with the two fathers. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being really, really awesome friends. I really do appreciate you so much. I don't know how to tell you, you know, I try to say it every day how much you mean to me, but the reality is your comments, your emails, your tweets, all the various ways you've chosen to communicate with me. Some days, sometimes that's the thing, the biggest, brightest spot of the day. That's the thing that makes the day bearable. And this week I've had a lot of those moments where I just needed to connect with another human being, and you've been here for me. So thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's random fact, Wikipedia, of course. When was soap invented? The earliest recorded evidence of the production of a soap-like material dates back to around 2800 BC in ancient Babylon. A formula for soap consisting of water, alkali, and cassia oil was written on a Babylonian clay tablet around 2200 BC.